community has been stagnant for a very long time. Ibn Khaldun was already complaining about this in the 14th century, so it's been a problem for a long time. The Ottomans were surprisingly creative up to very late. The Andalusians amazed me that they were still producing very high-level, amazingly creative thinkers right up to the very end. I mean, Ibn Asim was a giant, really a brilliant intellect, a great jurist. Ibn Lubbin, one of the most creative jurists, very late Andalusian scholar. Sidi al-Mawaq, his book on Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahy anil Munkar, if that book was translated and really became a foundational book, it just completely transformed the Muslim Ummah if that was used as a basis. I think the Muslims as a community, look, we've fallen on hard times undeniably, but the Prophet ﷺ was in the trench and he never gave up. I mean, the munafiqun were just like, when he struck the rock and he saw the spark and he said, oh, I just saw the palaces of Kisra fall to my community. The munafiqun just laughed. They said, we can't even go relieve ourselves. And he's talking about the palaces of Kisra. I mean, so you have to, there's always going to be the naysayers. You can laugh at our community all you want, but in the end, this really is not about dunya, it's about akhirah. So that's important. If we never gain ascendancy again, so be it. It's no big deal to me. I'm serious. It's just no big deal. Whatever God wants. If He wants to let us rise again, if He wants to keep us down as a punishment for our sinfulness, or purify us before we leave this world, so be it. We should want what God wants. But this idea, somebody said to me, asked me, when are Muslims going to rise up again? I said, when they stop wanting to rise up again. When they just want to be with God. But this whole idea that this is about power, I mean, that's a Foucaultian argument. It's all about power. We need to be in power. No, God's in power. We need to be powerless. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Just give up the whole concept of power and submit, surrender. So in terms of stagnation, we still have a lot of creative intellects, but we have some brilliant Muslim physicians that have done really amazing things, and we have brilliant Muslim engineers. We have Muslim engineers. We have the best soccer players in the world. France just won the World Cup because of a bunch of Muslims doing such a shukr every time they get a goal. And they'll probably do more to alleviate Islamophobia in France than all of us put together. So really, they're all shouting takbir. Where is he? In Liverpool or Manchester? Liverpool? Yeah, they're all like takbir, Allahu Akbar every time he gets a goal, Subhanallah. So, there's still a lot of good people, and in the end, it's about worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and trying to refine our own hearts, get closer to Allah through purification of our hearts. I mean, the Quran says, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On that day, no benefit, nothing will avail them, wealth, children, nothing, except a sound heart. And so if your heart's sound, everything's fine. And while we need intellectuals, we need scholars, we also just need saintly people, saintly housewives that just raise their hands and God will answer them. So everybody has their place, And some of the best people I've met are those simple people that do those things. Really, some of the best people I've met. But it's very important to recognize what we're afforded here in the U.S. And we can really do some amazing things. I mean, look, we had, believe it or not, a university in Mecca came to us here in California asking us to help them develop their curriculum in Mecca. I mean, I said, this is clearly the end of time. Right? When an Islamic university in Mecca comes to California, to a Muslim college in California to ask them to help them with their curriculum development, it's the end of time. So, we can do things here. We need to build our institutions. And God knows what's going to happen. We don't know. Maybe it'll all collapse, maybe not. We should be prepared for the worst, hope for the best. But God knows what's going to happen. We're not immune to the realities of the world. America lives under this illusion, that we're isolated from all these tragedies. But things can happen here, terrible things. We hope they don't. I don't want bad to happen to this country or its people. I'd rather see them doing good things with the power that God's given them than doing harmful things. And we should be part of that, making America a better place, awakening people by calling them to the better angels of their nature. That's what we should be engaged in as a community. So we need scholars, but we need enlightened scholars. We need scholars that really understand the religion at a deep level. We're always going to have the zealots. They're not going to go away. The Prophet said they're a tribulation till the end of time. So we're always going to have them. But we should mitigate them as much as possible and prevent them from influencing our youth. Because young people can get drawn into these things. Because it's like a gang. There's people that grow up in these horrible ghettos and they're pulled into gang behavior. Because it gives them meaning, it gives them purpose, it's asabiyya. Some of the Muslim youth that's how these things are like gangs, joining Al-Qaeda or joining Daesh or something. It's like a gang. You suddenly feel like you're part of something meaningful. We have to give them other ways of being meaningful and inculcating into them honoring women. I've always told my children, from the time they were little, never degrade a woman and never allow a woman to degrade herself at your hands. Right? Just honor women. The Prophet ﷺ said this ummah that he said, لا يكرمهن إلا كريم ولا يهينهن إلا لئيم. Only honorable men honor women, and only despicable men degrade women. So that's a hallmark in our community. He said, خيركم خيركم لنسائكم. The best of you are the best of women. That's the way we determine the character of a person, is how they treat their women folk. So that's really important, honoring our women. But also our women have to be careful of being pulled into these anti-male movements where all the problems of the world are male toxicity, right? Who's getting out there in 0-degree weather to clear the roads for you? Seriously, 96% of all mortality on job is males because they do the most dangerous jobs. Right? So there's good in men too, right? Like me three. So, the good men, right? There's all those guys out there, the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, they're out there, but there's a lot of good, decent men that are good and doing good things. And this is a complementary relationship. There has to be mutuality. We need each other. But to demonize, our young men are really, a lot of these young boys, they're really suffering because they're just so degraded. Everything's about, and then they've got all these superheroes now that are women, which maybe that's an antidote to all the superheroes that are always men, although Superwoman was around there when I was a kid. But the young men need encouragement also, and they need to express they should be taught chivalry. Protecting women is a instinctual quality of a healthy male, women and children. You don't want to remove that. When it breaks down, it's the women and children are the victims. Really. It's women and children. You can talk about equality. Equality is wonderful, and it works in a civil society. But when that civil society breaks down, who's raping whom? Seriously. Who's raping whom? And they show these films now where these skinny women are beating up these giant men. It doesn't work like that. You take one of these, seriously, take a martial artist, one of these girls, and put her in that cage with those fighters, what do they call MMA, mixed martial arts? Yeah. Put them in there and see how long they last. It's all fantasy from Hollywood. There's a lot of women that could beat us up. I don't deny that. But if you it's not going to work. Bobby Riggs was like in his 50s when he got defeated in tennis. If he was at the top of his game, it wouldn't have happened. So there's a reality to those disparities. You know, and if women want to take steroids and build up their muscles and do all those things, it's a sad state of affairs. You want to compete with us? God help you. You know, these are Allah's made us to complement each other. That's why.